Hello there and welcome to my Arty Corner here on YouTube. My name's Angela Porter, and I love to draw. What can I say? It's 25 past 12, it's Monday the 30th of May, and I've been working since I woke up, so I'm now taking a break to do more drawing. Yeah, drawing templates, so I've actually got the 31 done for the Fabulous Birds book, but that depends whether they all meet muster, because I may have to redraw some before I ink them in, but that's fine. It's part and parcel of the process. It's what happens. So I'd just like to say thank you for joining me here, and you've subscribed, or you haven't subscribed. You're most welcome to join me here. Thank you if you have subscribed. It means so much to me, your support in that way. If you haven't subscribed, it doesn't cost you a penny to do so. Completely free. They should call it follow rather than subscribe, YouTube. Not that YouTube would listen to me, tiny creator, but I'm a creator nonetheless. So I'd appreciate that if you like what you see and you want to follow. If you want to know when I release a video, which is every day usually except for Saturdays and not Saturdays, what am I talking about? Thursdays and Sundays, then just click the notification button and you'll get notified that I've uploaded a new video. It can vary in time through the day when I do create videos. It depends what else I've got to get done in the day. And I'll always let you know if there's no video on a particular day in the comments section of my channel. And I think it's only subscribers can see the comments. I'm not entirely sure about that one. I'm not. And I'll forget that I said that. The other thing I want to say thank you for, because I'm wittering on a hell of a lot here, is thank you for all the comments that have been left. I haven't replied to them yet. I had a day mostly away from the computer yesterday. I needed that kind of break. I had other things going on as well. And today, I had a migraine yesterday. I had another headache today. So goodness knows what's causing them. It is what it is. And yeah, so thank you. So with that, I'm going to draw for fun, and I have got here a piece of paper that I have coloured with. These are the Neocolour 2s, water and then gesso. And I do like colouring paper before I draw on it. And if you're a regular to the channel, you'll know that. I don't always use coloured paper, but sometimes I do. And this will end up in my sketchbook. And I often do this. I prefer to work on paper that is flat. And, you know, as in flat on a surface. I haven't got a ledge to try and work on or over. So then I'll stick this into my sketchbook when it's finished. Like I'll use glue or whatever. And that means my sketchbook gets very fat. But I'm quite happy to have a chunky sketchbook with my work in. So what I thought I'd like to do today is I just want to draw some flora or some things that could live under the sea or live on land, or seeds, or just things that catch my attention. I've got my visual dictionary or journal, my Zibaldoni out here. And so I'm just opening pages more or less at random. And if I do happen to draw something that you might have seen in another video, please forgive me, because I can't remember everything I've done. I've been quite prolific since I really focused on getting some YouTube things going. And I do forget what I've done. It's true, I do. So I think I'm going to start with some leaves, because I always like something for things to grow out of. Leaves and rocks. So I could draw just rocks like pebbles or rough shapes, but that's not my way. So my rocks are going to be drawn in parts, and I'm going to have kind of a vein of a mineral going through the middle of them. Or a circular form like that, because it adds interest to them. opportunities to add tangle patterns as well. And sometimes I'll draw them as if they're there, you know, sort of like at a different place that you can see. I am overlapping all of these. Sometimes I'll add one that doesn't overlap the previous one I've drawn and leave a gap so I can have one that just sits behind both. It's about adding sort of depth and interest, I suppose. And I've got a bit of a thing for rounded rocks, pebbly shapes, but I'm not averse to having other kinds of shapes going on as well. It's just one of these things I just like to do. Okay, let's have a look here. Perhaps I'll pop one up here. Something that's a bit more squarish. I don't know why I'm putting them with things like that, and it looks like there's a crack in it. It's fine. It is what it is, and it's an angular thing. You know, what can I say? I'll leave that one like that. Perhaps put a little section there. So it does look a bit more like strata on the side. Or when I do love rock strata. Not far from where I live. It's about, depending where I go, it can be anywhere from, you know, a 40-50 minute drive, say, up to that much, is what, I'm not sure if it's still called the Glamorganshire Heritage Coast. I think it is. And it's fantastic. There are all these wonderful sedimentary beds of limestone and shale. And I think the further west you go, you can see thin bands of coal there as well. And they're mainly carboniferous or around about that era. And you find the most, well, I say amazing fossils. They are to me. I find the magical places to go. Not all of the beaches, has to be said, but the ones that I particularly like, one's called Southern Down, another one's Nash Point. I haven't been to Nash Point for donkey's years. Southern Down I haven't because pandemic. Haven't been anywhere much at all. This time of year it's incredibly busy. There's a school holiday this week, so the schools are out. It's their late spring holiday or Whitsun break, and so everywhere is really busy because people take time off and yeah, and I'm not good in crowds. So there we are. So I've got some things there, but yeah, strata. I absolutely loved it as a child or much younger person. I still get the buzz from seeing fossils and imprints of fossils in the rocks there, ammonites in particular. But there are what we used to call devil's toenails. I can't remember if that's the sort of like the vernacular name, but they are a kind of mussel, almost like a mussel, prehistoric mussel, and various other things there if you look for them. So, well, yeah, I mean, what can I say? So finding things like that, you know, left me with a lifelong interest in rocks and geology and things like that. And the strata are like this. Some places they're almost on their edge, but mostly, you know, sort of like you have cliffs. So it's a cliff, you know, edge of a cliff. But I've put it on the bottom because there are places in the world where the strata, instead of being horizontal, are tilted, so they're almost vertically or at an angle. So it's fine, it works. It does the job for me. So that's fine. And I witter. Now I do want some things to grow out of these because, you know, well, not literally out of the rock, but perhaps behind. And I think I'm going to start with some unusual plants today because I can. I've been drawing birds, and this morning was the book that I've been working on is called Fanciful Birds, and it's due out at the beginning of next year. It's a colouring book for Creative Haven from Dover, and it's been a lot of fun to do, but it's all sketch form now, and the inking will have to start once I've got the heads up on the templates, and that's where things take form, and then I get to colour in another 3 of them. I've already done the cover, and so that's where they start to come to life, and I can see that, yeah, I've done an okay job here. In fact, along the way I've had to take a template or 2 to start to add colour to, so I go, yeah, this is working out. I didn't think this was going to, but it's okay, it's working. It look fab coloured. So these are quite simple little leaves in their way. So I didn't explain what I'm doing, so I'm just drawing a wavy topped shape. The lines, the edges, sort of like curving in to meet, as if they were a point here down below. But I'm adding a little part of crescent moon. Actually, that was pretty bad. Drawn one, that's better. At the bottom, just to add something that's a little bit different than just leaving it all blank. And I'm going to add one more here, I think. I'm also adding that little bit of ink in the hollows on the top of the leaf, just to bring some weight into that, and it starts to give some dimension to them as well, some volume. Do I want to put one here? I think so. Oh, it's only a part of a one. It's okay, because I'll add one like that and it'll be fine. So I've got some of those. Then I'll put a couple over on the other side, because it would feel, I don't know why, I just like to do this. It feels a bit more balanced than anything else, says she who has just created rounded pebbles, squared pebbles and strata. So I'm just drawing. And sometimes you think about things like this and I think, oh, actually that does work. Perhaps I ought to think about doing this more often. Can't remember which artist said, you know, break the rules like an artist. You know, rules of art like an artist. You have to know what the rules are before you can break them, I suppose. Okay, so I've got some interesting leafy things going on here. Let's have a think about adding some planty things, perhaps some flowery-ish things. I'm just looking here, and I think I might actually... Shall I, shan't I? Shall I, shan't I? It's so difficult because I've got so much in the way of choice. I may have done these before, but I'm making no apology for it, because these will actually fit in quite nicely with this foliage kind of thing that I've created underneath. So I'm using the same kind of shape, except you can see the whole of it here. But instead of leaving the top as it is, as one, I'm actually going to pop a border around it, and at the ends I'm just wrapping this around. I'll do another one, hopefully so you can see it. I did angle my camera somewhat, so I'm creating a shape that's like that. Then the ripples on the top. I'm going to put a little circle at the bottom and my stem there. And then on this side I'm going to start a little, not quite as low as the level of the bottoms of these shapes, about halfway up. So I'm going to come out sideways around and round this way. and so it looks quite deliberate then. And what I think I'm going to do on the top of these, let me just draw another one, because I do like things in threes, don't I? There we go. And there will be some more detail added to this. But what I think I'm going to do at the top is I'm going to add some petal shapes, as if the flower bud hasn't opened. So this first one I'm going to start is this middle one, which I'm going to put in, kind of joining it in between the dips. And then the outer ones, I'm going to aim to the top, but I'm just going to not quite bring it together. I want it to look like I've got a bit of a petal there like this, and then we can join that in that kind of way. So it looks like they're beginning to open, but they're not quite open yet. So I thought that would be something that's quite nice. At the bottom, I am going to do something with this. I'll use an 03. I think I will extend these lines down here and here and have a double border, as it were. Yeah, it's not a double border, but you know, lines that make double borders. Oops, that one went completely wrong because for some reason I wanted to bend it the other way. I realised too late. So that'll work quite nicely. I'll come back to that. And for these ones, do I want to put, I think I might just, see how I've done that? Instead of starting from a gap within here, I've sort of started part way up this line and echoed the shape of these. So we get a slightly different edge on them, or that kind of border. Like so. Quite like that. That's quite nice. Okay, and the other thing I need to do is, we've got to have some leaves, haven't we? But I only want little leaves. Because in my little world here today, little leaves I think are needed. I think that looks, they're interesting. I like those. I think I'll make use of that shape again, perhaps. I think I will. And let's have a look at, I say making use of that shape again. I'm going to do it slightly differently because I'm going to make it a distinct V this time. I want a V-shaped bottom. And I'm just going to put in an edge full of waves. And then I'm going to add a V shape there, as if this is almost kept or supported by this. We'll pop another little circle in and add this on. And then perhaps my leaves are sort of like stretched, slightly stretched diamond shapes over here. So that I quite like. But what I'm going to do at the top is I'm going to start in the centre of this, and I'm going to draw an arc outwards and an arc outwards here, and I'm going to join these with quite a rounded frilliness there. So it's looking all a bit weird, but then welcome to my world. We are drawing alien plants today. These do not exist on Earth, well, not to my knowledge. So I'm just going to add some lines down from the points of each of those arches there, just to give them that kind of structure. And then what I'm doing is I'm just adding some little darkness there. And at the edge here, I've just joined this to the other side, to behind these, so it looks like they're stuck inside. I will draw another one. Well, I've got the 03 in my hand. I'm also going to draw some lines in here to the bottoms of those points, so it looks a bit like that. I'll do another one. Okay, so we want a V shape, and I'm doing fairly pointy or rounded pointy bits here. I'm going to give myself this kind of shape here for, oh well, I was going to say that leaf wasn't a diamond shape. If I just draw the other half of it, it will be. So from the centre here and out, I'm going to draw that kind of curved shape. And then you can see here, from the top of the edge of this cup at the bottom, I'm just going to draw a little curved line upwards. And then if I fill it in with black, it completes the shape of this kind of cup. And we can draw these in like so. So I've just popped one there where I think the end of that one would be, and then I can add these lines here again. Like so. And then from the bottom we can do those as well. Need to curve round towards the bottom. So we've got those going on. And I'll just do one more. I think I may do one more here. Making it quite a bit bigger. Like so. Curved lines. Like so. I'm going to join these together as I move along. And then I want the petals like that. Go back to my 03 pen so I can, ooh, as the top falls off. Like so. And then these ones going inside. Now this pen is finer than the lines that I've just drawn because I used an 05. So I might need to do some adjustments here just to get them to join together neatly. Oh gosh, it'll make a complete mess. But that'll do. They're not the best, but they'll do. And I'm not going to even bother trying to draw the rest of this stem out down here, because there really is no need. It just gets confusing. So I'll just, might just disappear behind the circle there, and that'll be fine. So we've got some of those going on, so I quite like those. Okay, what about some other plants and things? I'm going to use a pencil for this because I do want to add some things that perhaps might be grasses. So I'm just filling this space with these, and what I want to do here is I'm going to fill this with little leaf shapes, like they're little seeds, I suppose, all put close together, however you want to do it. I'm doing them very vertically, but you could actually do them at all kinds of angles. Now I'm beginning to alter the angle that they're being drawn at, because I do want them to come back to that point where I have fewer of these seeds together. I am going to put a little semicircle there, and then I'm going to pop a stem in here, and I will draw this one in because it will go behind. And I think at the top I'm going to add perhaps a couple of stamen with the dots on the end. Might have been better off using a finer pen for this, but it is what it is today. Sketchbook work. And so sketchbook work doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm not very good at thinking ahead today. I seriously need a nap. I'll be okay. I didn't sleep much last night, so perhaps trying to keep myself going might be a better idea, because I napped yesterday. So I had to, I couldn't see straight. When I'm like that with a migraine, it really does need the that serious nappage going on. But it can eat into my night sleep then, which is the downside of it. And yeah, I've bent this a little bit. I'll work out how I want to add leaves and things. So I'm going to add some of these here. Yeah, that feels better. There we are. So I've got those. And then just the last one. So I'm roughly trying to keep to the shape I've drawn. If it's not identical to it, I'm not going to worry about it. As it's there, the pencil lines are there as a guide to help me get the shape. And of course pencils can be erased afterwards. I could have put guidelines in those shapes for where I want the seeds to go. This will do just fine. So let's have a look at just popping some of these in. There we go. And again that semicircle there. And we're going to draw it behind. And I think for this I'm going to have some long thin leaves here. Oh, here the end of the leaf will be hidden behind this particular shape, as will it be there. And for this one it'll be behind this. It all helps with creating those layers, and everything will be made sense of if you add pattern or colour. It helps a lot. So that's quite nice. I like those. They're simple. They're really quite nice and simple. Okay, let me just flip a page or two and let's see what... Oh, I've got fungi. Oh, fungi. I do like fungi, it has to be said. Let's have a look. Ooh, there we go. All right. Yeah, I think these could be fun. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with the inner circle. I'm going to add 3 lines, roughly equidistant, but they don't have to be, about the same length, but they don't have to be. And then I'm going to join them with some slightly curvy lines, like so. And then I'm going to draw an edge around them. And I think I may just pop a stem here. And I'm going to pop some semicircular leaves on them. Just like that. I'll draw another one. So it doesn't matter what orientation you put these lines in. I'm doing 3 because it's a bit different to what perhaps I would usually do. Usually go for 4, but 3 looks like it's going to work quite nicely. Again, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle round. You can follow the shape as closely as you like or not. Then coming down from roughly the centre, this, and we're going to add some semicircular leaves because why not? It's my alien world. So let's have a look here. Again, if these aren't exactly the same length, you just go with what you've drawn. And it will all work out fine because no flowers, not even in my alien fantasy world here, are identical. I can see from the window beside my desk, some not into the gardens, but some of the plants in the gardens of the street below. One of them's got this huge rose bush. I'm not sure if it's a rose bush or whether it's a rose that's growing up through a tree. But just looking at the colours on it, the variation in colour from pale, pale pink that's almost white to a pink that's almost a cerise. It's a couple of tones lighter than a cerise. But the variation in colour is just so lovely. And you're just thinking, oh, it's just so nice. Yeah? Inspiration without me leaving my home. So those are quite nice. I'll come back to those perhaps in a moment and add some detail. And I think I'm going to add one more kind of flower here. And it's going to start with a centre like this. And this is where it's going to get a bit of fun. I'm going to start with with putting some U shapes around this central part, and I think I'll get one in there. And then from one side of the U shape to the one next door, I'm going to draw a petal in. I find this a lot easier and smoother to draw if I don't use those U shapes, but I know that having that kind of starting point, that ability to spread the petals out around the central shape. Crazy, crazy sized flower. And we've gone from flowers that are, you know, quite small in comparison to this that is taking over. And I am going to pop some lines in the middle, and I am going to change the shape of these lines to fit the petal, or the way that I want the petal to bend, or the way that it seems to bend there. So that's quite good fun. Perhaps I'll do one up here. So I'm just going to go for it from this kind of perspective. And I'm not going to count how many petals I've got, because ultimately it's not that important. I most probably have got the same kind of number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 as well. Genius. Or luck. I think it's luck more than anything else. So I'll pop my circle in the middle. I'm going to pop my lines joining them. Made a bit of a mess there, but it's fine. I know how to do something about that. So I'm just going to thicken the whole of that bit up there, and I'm going to do the same, hopefully, in each one of these sections, just to add that weight. A bit more ink there, just to the theory is if I do it to all of them, hopefully somebody won't notice that I've made a mistake. It's also helping me tidy up the shapes here that I wasn't very happy with. Not very happy with these at the top, but this one there. So I missed with my pen. So we've got that. And I think I might just pop one more here. This is going to be a challenging one because my petals are going to go behind the border in some cases, I think. Perhaps only that one at the top and maybe another one at the top. Lots of overlapping going on here of petals. But they always seem to work out quite nicely, surprisingly. So let's do the same thing here at the bottom, the base of these, like so, like so, and like so. Okie dokes. And then it's a case of getting these lovely lines down the middle. As I said, they don't have to be straight lines. In fact, if they curve a little bit, they look a bit more natural. Got that one there, which disappears off behind the frame. They're just floating. Do I want floaty flowers in my world? Do you know, I possibly could. We do have air plants here on the earth, which take their moisture from the air. So perhaps on my alien world I'll have flowers that fly and survive on moisture and nutrients they can get from air and dust in the air, on whatever world they live on. Quite like that idea. Or perhaps I could have them suspended. I think I'll just leave them as they are for now. I just want to pop something in this section here, really. And I'm just having a quick look at what I've got. Ooh, that'll be interesting. Can I work that one out for myself here? I'm not entirely sure at the moment. Okay, I'm going to do this one instead, where I'm going to start with a little cup shape, but it's a D shape. It's a letter D. And then from there, I'm going to draw this. Okay, so it's like a leaf shape in the D. I am going to just pop a stem in here. And then in the centre here, I'm going to draw something that looks a little bit like a bulb, or it's like the tangle pattern flux, like this. And then I think around this I'm going to put some little black triangles, which suggests that this is connected perhaps to the outside, or perhaps there's an envelope around this in some way. But that's quite nice, I like that. And I think we can have leaves in here which are long, thin, upside down and slanted letter Ds. Quite like that. And I think this one can definitely go up to there and then out to the top. I'm going to have this kind of shape going on. I quite like that. I now need to get, it feels lonely on its own. So let's have a look and see if I can Get a couple more in here perhaps. Get that there at the top, and that one is going to go out and round here. There we go. So I've got that one sort of behind. Not very neat and tidy there, but it will be fine. It's not very neat and tidy. Okay, shall I do one more? I think so. I think I'll have this one so low down. Don't think my my microphone will pick that up, but somebody's let a very yappy dog out. There we go. So there's that one. So I just want to have a look at the moment at adding some details to some of these, because some have got plenty of detail, others are a bit bare on detail and lines. So I'm just going to add some lines in these cups here. I'll come back to these at the top in a moment. These I think I'd rather like to add. It's essentially a heart, but it's almost like I've tucked the point of it behind that circle to begin with. Like so. And then perhaps I can add a short line and a dot on the top. That would look good. It's okay, and I'm going to put a dot right in the middle there, because that adds a little bit of something to those. Colour will add that, or pattern. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding some lines to these. They're curved, so if I drew one dead centre it would be straight. If I start with ones a little bit to either side, then as I go around they start to get straighter towards the top again. It just gives that illusion that this is curved. So this way round they're all going to curve this way, but they get straighter towards the top and then they start curving around the other way. And to make this look like it really is a hole in the middle, I'm just going to darken the top line there. So we've got that one. These here I've got a plan for, I think, and it will involve me finding my... Oh, I've got these. I've got my Sarasa gel pens here. Oh, that's brown. I didn't want the brown one. This one, which is a purplish colour. And I just thought it might be nice to have a look and see what this will look like if I use this to just erase some pencil here. So nice using gesso because the pencil erases completely. Okay, so here I'm going to turn this upside down because I'm going to do betweed, but I'm going to do it with this being the top. So I'm going to have a line, alternate lines from each side, curving them from the bottom towards the top, about equidistant, so they look like they are weaving. If I zoom in, There we are, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. So if I start with this one, I'm going to trace up the line a bit here, then draw a curved line. Do the same on the other side, but bend it down a bit. And just keep going until I can't fit any more in that space. So again, I'm going to start by doing this, and this, and this. Back and forward, just weaving it that little bit. Now these pens may take a little while. They are going to take a little longer to dry on the gesso than they would on paper. I don't know if these are water soluble on gesso though. But if I just zoom out again, that's added some depth there. Now on either side, I could use this purple again. But part of me is thinking it'd be quite nice to use a different colour. But let me have a look. I think I might want to just pop some the purple on these petals, so I'm just simply going to aura within them using this kind of building up the kind of shape that we've got there, this sort of pointy leaf almost shape or pointy petal shape. So start at the middle and bend them to one side and then the other. Trying to be conscious of where I put my hand, because I don't want to put it in wet ink and smear it. But we're starting to get some colour there with pattern. These are just such lovely colours. They're vintage colours. There's 10 of them, and they come in 2 sets of 5. And they are for gel pens, they are my favourite kind to make use of. I'm going to use this sort of like yellowy browny colour here to add some colour to the grass seeds, I think. And I'm just going to, on this one, I'm just going to pop in some lines that curve upwards a little bit. I know I could have gone and got my Inktense pencils out, or Graphy Tints or something else to use here from watercolour paints, but I had the need to work with some pattern here. So that actually will look fine. They actually work nicely together. What I might do, I'm so tempted, you see, instead of doing that, is to actually colour these in. But perhaps I'll just do something a bit different in each one, because again, it's sketchbook work. So I'm trying things out to see how best I can make use of these pens. I actually quite like that, with that depth at the bottom of colour. So let me just do that. I'm leaving some of the top without any of this colour in. And yeah, I know it's pink, or pinky purple there, but it's fine. Tell you what I'm going to do as well. Shall I use a brown or shall I use a red there? Use the brown, because if I was to add a little hint of brown at the bottom as well, perhaps starting to add that difference in colour, or some, the intensity of colour and increasing contrast and shadow. I think I might do that in this one and see what happens with these lines. And yeah, I'm going vertically over the horizontal lines, because I'll be able to see what effect that has then, and if there's mileage in that for the future. I'll leave the other one exactly as it is. It's hard to tell which I prefer at the moment. Okay, I've got a green here. So I am going to use the green to add some patterns to these. I can feel the grittiness of the gesso. It's not as gritty as others, you know, there is this texture to it and I can feel that hardness of the texture, but it's rather still quite nice and pleasing. Okay, so I've got these here now. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with these edges here. I don't want to be using every single colour I've got, so it may be a case that I make use of other colours. And I think perhaps here, let me have a look, I think they've dried. I'm going to do betweed in these sections as well, but I'm going to use this golden browny colour. Because the shape of these is a bit more distorted or stranger on the outside. It sometimes just takes that little bit of thought to go, how am I going to do that? It's just trust your knowledge of the pattern or the method of drawing it and go with it. And if it doesn't work out exactly as betweed, well, nobody's going to know particularly, because we're working on the edge of a shape where everything would look distorted anyway, because it's curved far more than the central panel. And really it's just that hint of colour that we're looking for here. I am going to put some of this on the tips of the petals as well, and I am going to do that with just lines because I can. Okay, that'll do for that. And I think I'll do the same here at the bottom. And then I've got my little leaves here that I can do in green as well. And I think I will do those this horizontal kind of manner. Like that. So that's beginning to work. Okay. I've got a grey here, and I'm going to have a look at my stones at the bottom. And I think for these I'm just going to use tipple here. Just to add some texture to them. I'm going to leave the vein in the middle as it is, suggesting white quartz or a pinky quartz in colour, perhaps. There's a lot of rocks like that on the coast around here where you've got veins of quartz running through them, or even tiny clusters of crystals. They're quite milky in colour and sometimes quite rusty looking. There's right on the edge of the South Wales coalfield and iron fields here. So, and if I do some on the other side, we'll start to get... I am varying the size of the circles somewhat for interest's sake. If I was thinking straight, I'd have had them bigger at the top where they're more likely to get light than elsewhere. So the one next door will do that. So towards the top I'm going to have the biggest circles. There might be some small ones in between them, but let's see if we can get some nice biggish ones here. And keep bigger at the top and gradually getting tinier towards the bottom where and sides where they'll be in shadow. colours are are similar but not entirely different. So I'm going to have fun later on when this has dried, and I'm sure that's dried, seeing if, actually I could do that now. Oh, have I got anything here I can use? I've definitely got that. Oh, let me have a look. Right, what have I got in this one? I've got Graphite Tint pencils, so let's have a look and see if, firstly, some water on top of these gel pens here. Let's see if that will shift them. It does actually on gesso. So they're not permanent on gesso, which is interesting because that means I can blend the colour out. Well, who'd have thought it, eh? I'd have expected from jelly rolls. So there's a technique I've discovered today. Happy days, she says. Happy days, happy days. Just quickly going over them and just using that to add colour to each section. Working quite nicely. And I'm guessing that they'll remain water soluble even once they've dried a bit on the gesso, so I should be able to lighten areas where perhaps I want them a bit lighter, especially on this one. So just get a bit of water here and let's have a look and see if we can just move some. Got too much water here. Let's have a quick look. Some of the patterns of the lines are showing through, which is fine, I can live with that. In fact, here it's quite noticeable. If I zoom in, you'll see what I mean. You can still see that we can see the little lines that are there. So it's not all completely soluble. But it's a nice way to add some colour in between the lines, just with that little dab of water. I'm thinking that I wonder if I used really, fairly watered down gesso for this, whether that would be enough to seal it in, just that little bit of gesso. Something to experiment with at a later date, not necessarily today. So I think the picture is a bit dark. I've got a light on, but I don't know why it's so dark. And I will just do the same to the tip with these lovely yellowy browny colour. So that's quite nice. Now then, if I use just a fairly damp brush here, perhaps I can move some of the colour but not lose that texture. That's the hope. If I do lose it, but it seems to be that it looks like I lose it when these are wet. But when it dries, you can still see that patterning going underneath it. It's what I want, really. Well, who'd have thought this, eh? I certainly wouldn't have. It's made me quite happy. Discovered something new. I will zoom out so we can have a good look at this. I will do the same for the purple in the centre. As well. And the key may be for me to start in the centre and work to the edge, so we keep the edge dark but the centre lighter perhaps. Some hints over there that I've missed. The leaves will be quite interesting. And if I had some tissue here, I could lift some of this colour up and make this a lighter green as well. But for now I'm quite happy to spread some of that green out, just to add colour there. So that's worked quite nicely. Okay, let's zoom out a mo. Yeah, you can still see the pattern underneath, but you've got that colour, so the pattern isn't as obvious, but we've got the colour there, and they are lovely and vintagey. For these, I wanted to use this colour, I think. Yeah, I think I want to use this colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some down at the base. I'm not even going to give it a chance to dry. How to stretch your supplies, eh? Well, I never. Who'd have thought it? I'm sure other people have discovered this. I can't possibly be the first person. But it is a discovery to me. So by doing that, the colour's much lighter, isn't it? Well, yeah, well, I'd expect that because I'm using less ink. But I'm also, because I'm not giving it a chance to dry, it's a bit more like paint, isn't it? I think there, that one looks a bit mucky. I think it's because the fine liner pen has become slightly soluble there. Which is something I need to watch out for, I think, when using gesso. Okay, let's try not to go over the black lines, Angela, and pick some black up. Let's try and keep it pure colour. Yeah, paint brush skills. It's actually something I want to do later on. Is I'm doing some lettering. I've tried to hand letter something every day, do something, and explore and experiment with that as well. Because what you get in here is a lot of my explorations and experiments. And things I discover, unwittingly discover, like this. It's actually worked really quite nicely. I'm quite impressed with myself for this. I am, it's true. Okay, for these petals, I think I might use the purpley colour again. So I'll just do a couple of those. Perhaps I'll have a look and see, because I might do alternate colours here, because I might use one of the reds perhaps. See now. Actually works surprisingly nicely. Right, I'll be here all day. It's over an hour. I didn't want to be here with you for an hour, sorry. And that was discovered because I thought I'd try and see what happens with these colours before, you know, as I add water, before I tried the graphy tints, which I'm now closing back up to put away. I was just thinking, dear goodness, nightmare, but fun. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you'll give a go at drawing some of these flowers and trying whatever media you have to see what happens. It's always worth, you know, it's like me, I think, oh, gel pens are for writing. Then I discover, actually, no, they work well for adding pattern. And I've actually found I quite like Jelly Roll Moonlight pens as well. That's a whole different story. So thank you for joining me. Have a go at drawing some of these yourself and adding colour. And if you create your own alien gardens, I'd love to see them. So until I see you again, take care, look after yourselves, and above all else, find time to be creative. Ta-ta, bye for now. Hoyle.